Zach Garrett, welcome home to Newcastle.
Thank you very much, Carol. It's wonderful to be here.
We haven't been on a hot date in the Cambo for like 25
It's
years.
been quite some time between RTDs in this wonderful neon-lit pantheon.
I have to admit, I never thought I would see the interior of this esteemed, iconic and legendary Newcastle live music venue ever again. But hey, here we are.
It's nice to be here too, actually. It's kind of, there's a bit of melancholy, there's a touch of sadness and a huge wave of nostalgia. But I think it's also just the tragedy of seeing a place like this and still hearing the echoes of the bands and I think the livelihoods that were made here still reverberating around. And that may sound like we're waxing lyrical, but it's 100% true. When you stand in a place like this, you can still feel it.
You're back in Australia at the moment. You're filming here in the Cambridge, and we'll talk about that in a sec. What does this venue mean to you? What did it mean to you as a young Newy guy?
This is an encapsulation, I think like a lot of people, this is an encapsulation of my youth. Like this place is about my discovery of music. This is probably the live music venue that helped formulate my understanding of music. And I came to music very late in life. My co-writer on Les Darcy, Tom Arthur, was a musician. He is a musician, he's an extraordinary guitarist. And a lawyer now too, he's a prosecutor for the DPP. But
That's quite a career
It's
change.
quite a career shift, yeah, it's extraordinary. But Tom is one of the most articulate, intelligent, brilliant people I've ever met in my life. And he played in a band called Fictions that was headed up by a comedian called Cam James, who's now an extremely successful Newcastle comedian who's actually also in our movie. And their bass player JB and their drummer Dean Tyler. And they played here. They supported British India here and Cut Off Your Hands and at the back there. So in my mid-20s and early 20s, this was the place we came to support our friends as their musical careers blossomed and as they cut EPs and as they toured around Australia supporting these incredible bands. Before that, like your late teens, early 20s, it was about discovery of people like, like the Presets and Childish Gambino and all these sorts of, later, but these sorts of bands that you only really discovered by going to the Cambridge. This was the place that you came to see bands when on the way up. This was kind of like that conduit between hearing something on the radio for the first time, buying the CD, and then going to see them play a sellout show. This was the place where you could come and see that and feel that. And my fiance's from Birmingham, Alabama, and they've got a lot of places like this down there. And same with LA, like the Troubadour, it was a similar sort of vibe. But this was a very distinctly Australian experience, the pub rock life, you know.
And you're spot on about it was the place that you saw bands on the way up, or major bands who just wanted to do a weird one-off.
Yeah, Short Elvis, anyone? The Innocent Criminals,
Yes.
Of course, Silverchair, and so many others. I mean, UMI have played here, I'm pretty sure. I think Powderfinger have played here as well. All of that, the Whitlams have played here. And this was like my CD case in my Volkswagen Golf in 2003 to 2007. So this was the place to come and see those bands. Like we had the Bar in the Hill, obviously, but this was the gig. This was the place to actually line out the door and go and see somebody. And it was an energy. There's the energy of lining up to go and see a show that I feel like is getting further and further away from us in this current age, and being lined up Hunter Street, to see a band playing here was an extraordinary experience in itself, because you see your friends. You'd be waiting in line, you bump into friends, you bump into other people, and you make friends that night too.
Yeah. What about that shift from the Palais to here, or vice versa?
Yeah, I think the Palais is an interesting one, because for us, like I was like 16, 17, and we had our Francis Xavier Battle of the Bands at the Palais, which was like the place to do it. So that was sort of the end of the Palais's life. But the Cambridge was kind of the place you wanted to get to, like within the local music scene to a certain degree. And when the Palais, left the community, the Cambridge sort of became one of those last great Standian pantheons to local music. And now it's sort of become the Palais in itself. It's now just become, I guess, a stage and a hall of memories.
Hold up, what's in your hand?
Oh yeah, I found a drumstick. I found a drumstick.
Is it named? Because often drummers will have them stamped.
It's got Melons, Dale Crover.
Okay.
Death EX, that one. Yeah.
All
I don't know if
right.
anyone recognises it.
No idea.
Yeah.
No idea. It's your souvenir.
It's like finding, it's like finding a Roman short sword somewhere near Northumbria.
Oh my
Yeah,
God,
so this is-
I found a drumstick
yeah,
at
the
Cambridge.
drumstick at the Cambridge. Yeah.
All right, so what brings you in here?
We're shooting a movie here currently. We're shooting a horror comedy film called Sight Unseen about some real estate agents, where I'm currently dressed, who get kidnapped by some people who really don't want to be forced into selling their house. So the Cambridge has a cellar which is extraordinary, and if you think psychopathic serial killers, this cellar really represents that. So it was absolutely sublime for us to shoot here, and thank you so much for all the support for the community, because we've been able to shoot this location under the generosity of everybody who's still managing this property, so thank you so much for that. And it has been absolutely perfect. So Tristram Baumer and Alan Brady are co-directing the film. Tristram has written it, and this is our final day shooting here at the Cambridge in our, our little echo chamber of memories.
It's just so very special, and it is quiet and it's dank, and the
it's
carpet
Yeah.
is still on the floor.
It's wet. When we first got here, it was flogging down rain on Thursday. It was absolutely whopping down, and the basement was so wet. We actually had to dry everything out. The incredible production crew, Harriet and Emily and Charlie and Brody and David, they were all down there like with hair dryers on their hands and knees drying out the concrete. And the manager of the property came down and said it was the cleanest he'd seen the cellar in years. So we have left an imprint here.
So there's some more shooting to be done up the valley, I believe.
Yes, so we wrap here today. Tomorrow we take our exterior location shooting up to Lovedale, and then we're up into Willow's Leap for about 4 or 5 days right up in the Hunter Valley. So we're looking forward to that, and then we're back to Lovedale before we wrap.
And when are you looking at a release?
2025. So we'll get into post-production in mid-October, and then fingers crossed first quarter of 2025 would be great.
Ah, how exciting.
Yeah, fingers crossed we can have the premiere here. So that's sort of the plan is the Tower Cinemas.
Yes.
Great to have a local film that has been written by some incredible talent who have been nominated for ACTRA awards, are being produced by people from America and Australia, premiere at Newcastle. That'd be very special.
Fantastic. Always great to catch up with you. I think we've had you back home 2 or 3 times this year.
Yeah, it's been great. Well, yeah, I got picked up for this thing with Screen New South Wales, which was fantastic. I was that for a little while. Bruce Beresford and I and Tom Arthur have been working on the Les Darcy feature film. That's been.
Can't wait.
Yeah, that's the big.
I mean, we've waited 20 years already, but
Yeah, it's been a slow. Well, Bruce has been wanting to do something for 40 years. He told me so.
yeah.
We're really excited to be pushing ahead on that one, and it's great. Every time we come back here, it always feels like we're getting closer and closer.
Yeah. Awesome. Always great to see you, Zach Garrett. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Carol. This is wonderful. Thanks for having me.